So you want to buy a house. Hi, everybody, it's Adam. And we spoke with Jenna Stauffer. She is a real estate agent with Sotheby's International. She has a global perspective on what's happening. And there's good news, and there's some not so good news. First, the good news. Price correction. She says one is coming, and it's underway. For instance, Florida, it's slow, but median price of a house is already down 2% this year. Now, in the rest of the country, it's a supply and demand issue. The Northeast, they just don't have enough supply. In the South and in parts of the West, they overbuilt. But the other issue is mortgage rates. Jenna does not see mortgage rates falling below 6%. So listen to her advice about what to do if you're trying to sell or if you're hoping to buy. Jenna, you are a global advisor when it comes to Sotheby's and real estate. So just in the United States, is it the same story across the country, or is it, as they always say, depending on your neighborhood?
It is totally depending on your neighborhood. The housing market is so bifurcated right now. What's happening in one part of the country, it is totally different from what's happening in another part of the country. So for instance, what you have happening in the South, what you have happening in Florida, in Arizona, in Colorado, Tennessee, you really have an uptick of inventory. We're really seeing a lot of homes come to the market. And then you look at the Northeast, you look at the Midwest, and you see still this lack of inventory. So you're definitely seeing in these markets, in the Northeast, in the Midwest, you're seeing more steady price growth. And then with these markets where inventory has really picked up in the South, you're starting to see these prices really decelerate, really have more modest price growth.
So I think the question, if we break this down, though, a lot of people want to ask, are housing prices ever going to come down?
I think we're going to see a correction. Now, I think that with housing prices going down, here's the thing. We really have had such a shortage of homes. You can take this all the way back to 2008. We've had a massive shortage of homes due to so many years of underbuilding. So that's what's going to give us cushion with prices. I think we're due for a correction. We had prices that just went up so dramatically in such a short period of time. So it's really basic economics. You can't have these prices go up so rapidly and not have those wages be able to keep pace with that. You're due for a correction. You're due for a rebalance. And I think that that's what we're going to see. That's what we're starting to see in some markets. And I think that it's healthy because the prices did get so outrageous. They got so out of whack with income levels. And because of that, so many people have had to stay on the sidelines. They've really been shut out of the housing market.
So let's talk about different regions. I heard you say it was a supply-demand situation in the Northeast, not enough supply. So I would imagine prices here aren't going to come down, or will they? And how are the mortgage rates playing into all of this?
So correct. So in the Northeast, so I know that there's a lot of markets where they didn't have as much building as we had in states like Florida and Texas. Everybody wanted to move to Florida and Texas during the pandemic. So these states in the Northeast, the Midwest, they didn't have that overbuilding that we started to have in the South. So because there's still this lack of inventory, I would say that you're going to see more steady price growth in these markets.
But in Florida, well, I'll get to mortgage rates follow up. But Florida, for instance, except for Miami-Dade County or Broward, there's there's kind of prices are falling because people can't sell their condos because of the law down there about bringing everything up to code.
That is correct. So this is a big issue in Florida. So there have been new laws that have been put in place for condos. A lot of these condo owners in Florida too, they're retirees. So think about it. These are people that are on fixed incomes. And what's happened is these condo fees have doubled. They have tripled in some cases. So because these people are on fixed incomes, they simply can't handle these price increases. And due to that, they've had to sell their condos. So there's been a big uptick in inventory for condos in Florida.
Now let's talk about the mortgage rates. Rocket Mortgage is going to report their earnings Thursday, and everybody's watching that. But a mortgage is a mortgage is a mortgage, a 30-year fixed mortgage. Where are we right now? About 6.5%, or is it higher than that?
It's higher than that. So I was looking today, we're this week we're at about 6.8. Now we are down from where we were last year at this time, but these rates are still elevated. And it's not just about the mortgage rates, it's really the combination of everything. It's the higher home prices, it's the rate, it's the higher taxes, and then also the higher insurances. And this is what has really kept so many people out of the housing market, even though they want to get in it. There's so much pent up demand, but they're priced out.
And when we talk about mortgage rates, I think some of us can remember our parents would have been thrilled to be able to get 6.5%, 7% mortgage rates. But let me ask you, given that mortgage rates don't seem to be falling anytime soon, is there an expectation we would go below 6%? And if there is not, how does a potential home buyer, a potential home seller prepare for that?
So I think that there's an expectation that rates will probably stay in the 6 level. If we could get rates below that 6% level, I think that that would really help to get the market moving. I think rates really do dictate the housing market. I would say that to answer your question, well, then how are people going to get into the market if we can't get these rates down? Well, we have to start seeing the deceleration in prices and home prices. We have to see this deceleration so that you can see these wages start to keep up with these prices. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take time. I think that so many costs have gone up tremendously. I think you see the consumer is really tapped out. They have price fatigue. You look at credit card debt, you look at delinquencies. I think it's just going to take time for the consumer to catch up. And unfortunately, they might have to wait a while for these rates to be able to come down. I do think eventually we'll see them come down, but I don't foresee that happening immediately. But of course, it's all dependent on the health of the economy.
There was an expectation that the baby boomers and then Gen X would downsize and there would be a whole bunch of homes coming to market. Is that happening or is it not happening?
It's happening in some markets. You're seeing that this generation, they are having to sell. They do need to downsize, but I don't think it's coming as quickly as people were expecting it to come. I think you're seeing some of these baby boomers, they're just staying in place. They're not moving out of their homes, and they're choosing that that the home that they're in right now, this is where they want to age. This is where they want to stay.
So let's wrap this up with your final thoughts and answering this question. If you are under 40 years old right now, is the day coming when you're going to be able to buy a home, or are you going to be better off just renting?
I am a big proponent of home ownership. I think home ownership is so important. I think it's really the cornerstone of long-term wealth building in America. So I hate to say to people that you should rent. Why do you want to give money to a landlord? Why not be building up your own equity, having your own piece of ownership? Really, there's so much pride too that comes with home ownership. It carries on to so many different aspects of life. But unfortunately, I get it. The reality is that it's very hard. You look at the median age of the first-time home buyer, it's up to 38 years old. It's challenging. It is a challenging environment for people. So my advice to people that are under 40 that want so desperately to buy a home, there are opportunities out there. And what we're seeing now is that this is becoming a more buyer-friendly market overall. So just get creative in your search. Don't give up on purchasing a home. Maybe look in other places. Just don't give up, because there are some opportunities out there. You might just have to expand your search and get creative to make it happen.